He is the most spectacular baseball player that ever played.
None of them could do what Willie Mays could do.
You had to experience it to understand what he meant. He was baseball.
There's a long drive, way back in center field, way back, it is.
My name is Dr. Leighton Ravel. I'm the founder of the Center for Negro League Baseball Research, and our offices are here in Dallas, and I'm also the founder of the Negro Southern League Museum there in Birmingham. One of the questions I get quite often asked is, Dr. Ravel, why build a museum in Birmingham, Alabama? Number one, the Birmingham Black Barons, who were formed in 1919, and they played up until the last year of the Negro Leagues, 1962, and then played a couple of independent seasons after that. But the Birmingham Black Barons fielded more Negro League teams than any other franchise in the history of black baseball in the United States. Secondly, there were more players that came from Alabama, that came from the Birmingham area, that went into Negro League baseball than in any other area or any other part of the country. Thirdly, we had the Birmingham Industrial League, which was the proving ground for young ball players. If you were a young ball player, let's say like Willie Mays, when he was in high school, showed he had a lot of athletic ability. What were his baseball skills? Well, if he can go out there and play with the grown men, he may have a chance to go farther. In addition to that, for the Negro League players who were finished playing ball, they could get a job at one of the big companies. It doesn't matter whether we go back to the 1920s all the way through the early 1970s. If you were a person of color, Birmingham was a difficult place to live and grow up. There were portions of the community that were primarily African American, but it really didn't matter because there was so much discrimination in Birmingham. And I'll give you one excellent example. If you visit our museum there near Regents Field, you'll see a picture in the main gallery of a baseball team called the Irondale Travelers. And it looks like a bunch of little kids, and it was a little league team. And the importance and the reason I had that picture there was that before the 1960 season got underway for the little leagues, Ku Klux Klan burned down their field. Then from there, they had a list of every kid that played on the team. They burned a cross in the parents' front yard. Baseball was a very important part of the community. You had mentioned Red Diamond Field. There are literally dozens of ballparks around the Birmingham area where they played baseball. Some are still in existence, some are gone. We are very lucky to, at the highest level, we still have Rickwood Field. And I would, for anyone viewing your documentary, I would strongly recommend going out and visiting Rickwood Field. The Friends of Rickwood have preserved it to its status in the 1940s. But Titusville was kind of in the center of everything. Red Diamond Field was in the center of everything. By far the best player to come out of Titusville was a gentleman by the name of Roger Brown. He was so good that by the time he was 16, he was playing for the Kansas City Monarchs, and he played for the Birmingham Black Barons.
Mr. Craig the third, I lived in Titusville all my life, really. I moved out for 5 years and came back. Back then, in those days, that was my daddy played on the Red Diamond Field. I had an uncle that played on the Red Diamond Field. And then we had a team called Titusville Georgians played back there on the Red Diamond Field for a few years before they moved to Memorial Park. So the field was something the only place we had to play at. Really, it was red dirt, had a wire backfield, fence, foot behind the plate. And there had no fence out in the field at all. So all we did was line the field off and played it like that, and nothing to stop the ball.